In this problem, we are going to graph f of x equals 3 cosine x. Before one can do that, you need to memorize the basic shapes for sine x and cosine x with an amplitude of 1. So cosine x is a lot like the sine function. In fact, you could take the cosine function and shift it to the right pi over 2 units and you'd get sine. So these graphs are just horizontal shifts of one another by pi over 2 units. Anyway, rather than starting at the origin to graph sine function, to get the cosine function you start at 0, 1. But just like the sine function had a period of 2 pi, you'll notice that the cosine function has a period of 2 pi. It just starts off a little different. So I'm going to start with this one. With graphing sine function, I prefer the second one. But when I graph cosine function, for whatever reason, I prefer to graph the first one because I like to start at 0, 1 and graph the cosine function. So this would be the cosine function, and if I just graphed it like this would be the cosine function with no number in front, meaning a would be 1. But I like to get the period right from the beginning, so I'm going to grab this point and make sure that it takes about 2 pi units, well exactly 2 pi units, but a little bit bigger than 6 units to do one full cycle. But right now it looks like I'm getting 2 full cycles, so I'm going to move this to the right so that I only get one cycle of the cosine function. So it starts here up at 1, goes down to -1, back up to 1 again. Right now it looks like the period is about 6.5. It takes 6.5 units to go down and back up. That's a little bit too much because 2 pi isn't quite 6.5. So I'm going to grab this point and move to the left a little bit. So this would be the graph of cosine x. Now the fact that they put a 3 in front means that a is 3, which means I need to change the amplitude to 3, which means if I just simply grab this point and move it up to 3, that would make the graph go as high as 3, but it turns out I have to grab this point and make it go down as low as -3. Perhaps I wouldn't have done that with both points if I had selected this one, I'm not sure. But before you hit submit, just make sure you know that you've taken care of everything. It looks like the cosine function starts up high, goes low, then back up high. How long did it take to go from this high point to this high point? A little more than 6 units. So this is in radians, so it'd be 2 pi units is the normal period of cosine function. And it does go as high as 3 and as low as -3. So because we're not shifting up or down yet, the midline of the graph, the line that cuts through the middle of the sinusoidal function, would be y equals 0. So I'm going to submit this to make sure that I get full credit, 1 out of 1, and we will see you in the next video.